See this rock being as truly having a beingness. It has its own presence. Just allow it to have a living individual consciousness. That this is the body that we're seeing, and that it has a soul. So let's just say that this is a person. And the different colors and everything, they're part of that, it's individuality. And part of that individuality comes from soul. And so when I'm going to use, what I really want to talk about is, because people have been asking me about soul loss, soul fragmentation, and then on the other side, of course, soul retrieval, soul reclamation. And of course, the biggest question in the beginning is, well, what is soul? In order to talk about it. So I'm giving you my reference point of it, my definition of it. I don't consider it to be, it's mine. I don't consider it to have to apply to anybody else's sort of way of seeing things and thinking. This is sort of the medicine of one way to look at what is soul. And I picked up some plants. These are both the same kind of plant. This is in a Mormon's tea. So it's it's green. This is green. It's it's alive. It's flexible. It has wonderful green color. So let's think of that color as its kind of reflection of its soulfulness. That the color is able to be within it and to radiate out as its uniqueness, as its sort of personality, as its and that it can experience, and that it is shaped by experience. So the way that I look at soul is that in a way it's almost like the embodiment of all experience. So that you want to hold that in as big a context as possible. So that we're not just restricting soul history to, of course, your history in this life from A to B, but that you're allowing that soul history just to be vast. You're not defining it really. And perhaps it could involve what people call past lives or simultaneous. But it's like the color when it's in the physical form, okay? It enlivens the form almost. So I could pick any. This is a barberry. This one has flowers. The leaves, again, soft, flexible. These are old and as if withering and dying. They're very prickly. So it's almost as if in this sort of loss of soul, it's as if it becomes less flexible, more brittle, more less able to flow through life. Another way to look at the soul is that it's almost like a scent, the unique scent of you. This is a wonderful lemon verbena that has just a magnificent sage smell to it. I love smelling that. And I have a juniper, and it actually already withered, so there's the difference again in color, flexibility, smell. It's almost like it's aliveness. It's like soul, the soul translates as a kind of aliveness. And as you lose its aliveness, then the aliveness that is here in your own physical body is reduced, restricted, limited. So I want you to think of the soul as something that is energetic. It has energy. It's not so much that you could break it into pieces and so it's broken apart. Think of that the difference is that this one still has its energy, the soul energy, and this one has lost much of the soul energy. That energy, the soul, is an experiential, something that experiences. That experience both shapes it and it sort of collects it. And so the soul has stories. And how we meet these stories, how we live through them, can determine how much of that soul energy that you lose. It literally can translate, and it's emotional, so it's emotional. So in these soul stories, as you live them, and you live them one way, at the cost and expense of other movements that may or could have moved and lived, or perhaps nothing moved. It was traumatic, and you just checked out totally. And energies like terror, rage, grief, all these things stayed. They didn't move. So when they can't move, there's a lot of movement in this, in the cells, and it participates with the sun and photosynthesis. This one, there's very little movement going on now. So in our effort to survive as these souls, we are programmed as if to limit the movement of emotions and feelings in order to survive. And so by that limiting, we have closed off this space. We have as if pushed out of our space that we occupy, that emotional energy, so that the soul cannot inhabit us as fully. So it would be as if, these are levels or chakras in the body. And oftentimes what I'll find is people live about here up, that they're not occupying this space. So as you lose, or your soul fragments, however you want to look at it, and that energy is not allowed to come into these places because it will mobilize certain feelings, and it's as if you do somewhat become deadened, then you cannot occupy this space. You're not grounded in a sense, and you can't fully be here because of this loss that doesn't allow you to occupy your deep, true presence. It's as if all around and through it, and never goes away, but you need, the soul helps you with your attention, your awareness to it. So the challenge in this bringing back what has been rejected through not allowing it to move, but also there's always a thought, a belief that's married to it, that maybe don't trust anybody. You always got to be careful. So all these beliefs that don't allow movements and that keep us polarized in this soul form that is only partial. So the way back to soul wholeness, so to speak, is to be able to come down all the way into this form all the way down into this form. So it's as if these dead spaces, here's another one, this is false Palo Verde, this is still green, this is losing its green somewhat, and this is gone, brittle. The life, it's as if the life, your soul is life. But within that soul too, it is energized as if by the sun, the life force. The life force. And we separate all these things in order to talk about it. In the end, they're not separate. There's not body, soul, spirit, this, that. It's all a oneness. As if your true deep presence was a radiance within that, and your soul is within that radiance, and that then occupies this space. But because of all these things that have been pushed away and lost, you're up here. You can't occupy this space. So the way back home to the center, the way back home within yourself, home is within yourself, home, 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 is that which you have chosen to disengage from and not allow to move with force, with thinking, with tension. You reverse. And in this reversal, you are invoking the greaterness that you are, which I call the circle, which is compassion. You are invoking this as you are able to clear the way. This is clearing the way, and you clear it with your compassion. And the energy of your soul is then able, like a wonderful scent or music through your body and movements and voice, to come in. The more that's lost, the less you're able to move, the less comes through your voice in life. The more you're hooked into your old stories, and the more that fear owns you. So your own soulfulness allows you to move to the center, to reside in the deep home that you are, the presence that you are. This soulfulness allows for your spirit to inhabit this, to connect with it. For it all to be one, not separated. One. So in a way, this soul retrieval, in some way you must participate in it, because you must choose to engage what you've been uncompassionate to, compassionately, and to give up a belief, a thought that has pushed it out. And then you are home. You are home. And whether it's a scent or a beautiful flower, wish to embody your soul as, gets to be. It gets to be the flower which has the color, the scent. You get to be. You get to be. And the circle, in a sense, is like a flower. Like a flower. Like a flower. right, Beauty? She always comes over just at the right moment.